Hello, I'm Bob Lichtman. I'm very privileged to be our Federation's Chief Jewish Learning Officer. I feel like I can begin this week's Bit of Torah by saying previously in the 5 books of Moses. And that's because this week Jews all over the world are going to begin the 5th book of the 5 books of Moses. It's called Devarim in Hebrew. It's translated into Greek as Deuteronomy. And I'm told that Deuteronomy means second law. And that's because many people believe that the 5th book is a reiteration by Moses of the precepts, values, mitzvot that he taught in the previous 4 books of the Torah. So I'm sitting in my office the other day, and a woman, one of my colleagues, comes to me and brings me a box of stuff from the Federation's basement. And she says to me, can you please go through this box and you decide what to keep and what to throw? So in this box is this book. It was written in 1925, and it's called An Introduction to Literature of the Old Testament. And you just have to take my word for this, but I opened it up to a random page last week, and it falls on this page that describes the book of Deuteronomy. And here's what it says. It says, the author's aim in Deuteronomy is not merely to collect or repeat a series of laws, rather he expounds on them. He develops them with reference to the moral purposes which they subserve and the motives by which the Israelite should feel prompted to obey them. In other words, the book of Deuteronomy is not just a reiteration of the laws. It is put in the context of the moral values of these laws and says to us that each of these rituals is imbued with a moral purpose. And it's up to us not only to find that purpose, but to have that purpose inform our actions and enhance our lives. So now let me tell you a story. A few years ago, we hosted here in Greater Metro West a delegation of teens that came to see how Jewish community works here in Greater Metro West. So as they're about to leave, I'm sitting with them and I asked them to share with me some of the things that they learned here. So one of them said this to me, and I'll never forget it. He said, I envy you Jews in Greater Metro West because you have the convenience of separating your life into your J life, your Jewish life, and the rest of your life. And in Israel, everything is put together. It's very complex and it's very conflicted and it's very uncomfortable. And I'd rather do it the way you do it here. You just separate your J life and the rest of your life, and then everything is, nice and easy. And I said to myself, oh my gosh, of all the things that we were hoping that these teens would learn in their visit here in Greater Metro West, this certainly was not one of them. But I was thinking, and this teen really reflected on something that is true more than not. Many of us, we do separate our lives into our J life and the rest of our lives. And the things that we do, the things that we say, the values that we bring to the table, the actions that we take are sometimes very different in the context of our synagogue or the Jewish organizations with which we are involved, and the other parts of our life. The way we interact with people at work, the way we interact with people in the mall, the way we interact with people in our homes. We're also, in addition to reading the Parsha Devarim, this weekend, Shabbat, actually falls the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av. We observe it on Sunday. The 9th of Av is the saddest day of the Jewish year, hence the beard once again. And on Shabbat, we're going to be reading from the prophet Isaiah. Isaiah is going to visit us and he's going to tell us that the reason God created a situation that enabled the destruction of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, not once but twice on Tisha B'Av, was that God is rejecting our empty rituals. And what does he mean by empty rituals? He means that we put no meaning into them, and so therefore they provide no moral guidance to us. There's a disconnect. And the truth is that many of us create this disconnect in our lives by creating a boundary between our J life and the rest of our lives. And when we set these boundaries, it becomes virtually impossible for us to find meaning in our lives, in the totality of our lives, and the way that Jewish values and mitzvot would affect our behavior. And as a result, our lives become kind of segmented and impoverished. So here's my challenge to me and to you and to all of us. We use this expression, Jewish life. We use it a lot. We use it in the work that we do here in our federation, the work that we do in the Jewish community. I want to challenge us not to use the expression Jewish life, but to consider that the Jewish Torah, the Torah that we learn, informs all of life. And so let's try not to use the words Jewish life. Let's just call everything that we do, let's call it life. And let's understand how Jewish learning informs all of life. Let's bring Jewish learning to life. And let's bring Jewish meaning to life, to all of life. And with that, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.